Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Knapik. Every week we talk about success and everything that goes along with it. You'll learn the principles of success, how to achieve success, and learn to overcome challenges that may be getting in the way of success in your life. You'll hear from Bill Knapik, a radio personality and business development expert, along with insight from special guests. If you're ready to find your path to success or take the success you're enjoying to the next level, stay tuned. Successful Living with Bill Knapik is on right now.
And welcome to the show, Successful Living with Bill Knapik. And today, Successful Living with Tiffany Pham. Tiffany is the founder and CEO of Mogul, the largest platform for women worldwide, enabling them to connect, share information, and access knowledge from each other. Tiffany was named one of Forbes 30 Under 30 in media, Business Insider's 30 Most Important Women Under 30 in technology, Elle Magazine's 30 Women Under 30 Who Are Changing the World, and she is a graduate of Yale and Harvard Business School. Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Bill. So excited to be on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Your accolades and your credentials, and those are just a few of them. So I think people that are listening are going to really enjoy what you have to say. And, of course, you are also the author of the new book called You Are a Mogul. So when we see the word and hear the word mogul, first of all, let's tell people about your platform, Tiffany, Mogul, and how people can access it. And it is just a super hit all over the world.
Thank you so much. Well, definitely. So excited that listeners today will hopefully be able to find themselves on Mogul soon after as they go to our web platform and mobile web platform, which is available on onmogul.com. And then they can also access us via our mobile app, which is just by searching on the Apple App Store, Mogul, and you should be the number one search result there. Subsequently, we're across many other channels as well, so they can be a part of Mogul and our community of women all around the world by accessing us via our social channels. Across all socials, they can subscribe to our email base, where we have millions of women subscribe to receive our top topics every single day, to also accessing us via, of course, our books, as you mentioned, with You Are a Mogul, this fall, having just come out actually about a week and a half ago.
You're focusing on women around the world, certainly here in the United States, but everywhere. I will say this, in reading your book and also being on your Mogul platform, what you say and the principles of success that you have put into practice and are putting into practice every day, they apply to everybody, men and women. And I'm finding your book very motivational and also great core principles of success for anyone, especially in Chapter 3, crushing it at the corporate level. That's just basic things that you are doing and have done to achieve the things you have, but things that a lot of people aren't willing to do.
Oh, thank you so much. Definitely my intention was just to be able to share anything that I had learned along the way, and especially the mistakes I've made, so that then everyone could really apply it to themselves today, men, women, everyone, and ultimately become a mogul themselves, especially definitely in the corporate workplace. Definitely was a transformative time of my life, and one in which I talk about, therefore, the lessons I learned, mistakes I made throughout the time at HBO, CBS, and then ultimately other workplaces where I helped shape myself into who I am today.
You address this throughout the book, but whatever you do at whatever level, whatever task you do, you say do it the best you can, exceed expectations. In fact, in the chapter I referenced already, your work schedule was you'd be at your job at HBO or CBS at 9, I believe. You'd work till 6:30, have a little dinner, go to an event, and then work from 9 till 3 a.m. That's quite a schedule.
Absolutely. Definitely one of the key principles is to, no matter how mundane the task, always over-deliver on that task. If it is a cup of coffee, you have to make sure it is the best cup of coffee. You have to staple paper over and over again, staple it with so much passion and gusto. Ultimately, everything you do, you have the ability to create excitement around and do it the best that you can. And others that work with you will remember that excitement, that passion, and they themselves will get passionate and excited, and you will be remembered for that. You will be remembered for your attitude, your ability to motivate others as well as yourself. And as a result of being so passionate about it, you will do, again, an incredible job on it and quickly get promoted. So I think that was an early lesson from my childhood that I learned about always excelling, and it carried over into my teen years, carried over into corporate, and carried over then, of course, into Mogul today, that everything you do, again, do it with such passion, do it with such over-delivery that it becomes the best that it could be. And then that's how you continue to rise so quickly. You're highlighting other things that I've done throughout my life, throughout which I've done that, not only through corporate, but then also through side hustles. I always wanted to learn as much as I could and over-deliver on those tasks too. So I would work during the day from 9 to 6 at a corporate job that would help me pay the bills. I would pay my rent using this corporate salary. But then at nights, in order to learn more skill sets, I would take on more side hustles that didn't necessarily always pay, but through which then I could learn even more, and that was the reward. And then, of course, I would over-deliver on those side hustles, so then those people would want to recommend me to others, and those opportunities became bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's where we are today.
And I like that, the idea of the side hustle. I remember years ago, a friend of mine here in Houston in the real estate world, she lost her job. And I said, listen, when you get back on your feet, one of the things that perhaps you may learn from this is that don't have all your eggs in one basket. Have a couple things going on. And like you said, if it's not something that's an income-generating thing, it needs to be something that you're learning and something that's beneficial to you. So you're exactly right. The side hustle is very important, and it makes life even more exciting.
Absolutely. More exciting, and totally, as you just mentioned, with having all your eggs in one basket, it does the opposite. In this way, it enables you to diversify, and if something ends up falling through, as a result, it was nothing to you. You can just pick yourself back up and quickly keep on moving. And that's why, for me, that's actually another principle that I basically share with in the book, is that doing things at a volume, ultimately, or reaching out to people at a volume, helped me to develop a mentality whereby I quickly got over the no's, because I knew that no was in fact going to become a not right now that would later turn into a yes. As I reached out to more people, as I reached out to 50 people for press or partnerships or as an advisor or an investor to come on board, then ultimately, again, I wouldn't see those 50 people as 49 no's. I'd see them as like the opportunity to get to one yes. And so applying that to side hustles is important too. So that way, if ever something falls through for you, then it didn't matter to you because there are many opportunities lining up for you as well.
And I like that. No is just not right now. We are talking with Tiffany Pham. She is the founder and CEO of Mogul, this gigantic worldwide platform, and the website is onmogul.com. And she is the author of the book, You Are a Mogul. And Tiffany, people can get the book anywhere and reach out to Amazon or wherever else, right?
Absolutely. It's across bookstores nationwide, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, as well as all your independent local bookstores. And definitely want to give a shout out to them all because, that's where I spent my childhood, was always at the local bookstores. So definitely available everywhere as well as online. You can even go to onmogul.com/youareamogul and then pick up a copy from there directly. And actually, if you email ALANA@onmogul.com, Alana@onmogul.com, you can actually receive for a limited time until October 15th a 25% off discount.
That sounds super. And in fact, I was on your website on Mogul, and I like that. And I'm also mindful that this is a worldwide platform, and your promotion for the book comes up. I'm thinking, wow, look at the power of this platform. How you had the vision for that is just incredible. Tiffany Pham, she's the author of You Are a Mogul. I highly recommend the book. The other thing that I'm thinking about, Tiffany, is that a lot of people, as I look around, are in jobs. They're not happy. They haven't found their passion yet. You address that in the book. Let's tell people a little bit, if they're stuck, and we all get in ruts for various reasons, but if they're stuck out there and they haven't found their passion or they haven't been able to work in something that they're passionate about, give them a word on that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you haven't figured out totally what your passion is, think about this. What would it be that if 5 years from now you were doing would excite you so much? What would be the thing that if you woke up every single day and got to do, you would jump out of bed? You would get to feel like your life and career were the one and the same. There must be something that you want to do, that you have done, that ultimately could excite you in that way. So think about what that is. And you may not have a very clear idea on it, but there might be an inkling of an idea. And so based on that inkling, think about all the ways in which you can approach that inkling. So, for example, I wanted to start a company. So I thought, okay, if I wanted to start a company and this company, I need to know every facet of a company inside and out. I need to know marketing and branding. I need to know distribution and production of content. I need to know finance and sales and product and technology. So all these 10 or so facets. And then ultimately from that, then I thought, okay, who can I learn from across all these facets? So I thought, okay, marketing and branding, who better to learn from than the former chairman of Hearst Magazine, which owns 17 and Elle and Marie Claire, Harper's Bazaar. Obviously, this woman was incredible in figuring out ways to brand different initiatives and then push them out to market under completely different messaging. A fantastic person to learn from. Product and technology, who should I learn from? Probably the head of innovation at Washington Post, which was recently acquired by Amazon, since Amazon, I'm sure, is pushing them to innovate. So let's learn from him. And what about scaling and growth? Probably founder of Match.com, really scaled his platform overseas to become one of the number one dating sites. So all these various role models that I had across these various realms of a business were the ones that I decided to reach out to. You might have peers, therefore, that you want to reach out to or role models as well. What I did then, and now I'm going to get very technical for the audience today, is then I figured out their email addresses. I basically went onto LinkedIn and connected, hoped that they would connect back. And ultimately, if they didn't, then I found various other ways to acquire their email, whether that was just by guessing their format, first name dot last name at company.com, or using software like Interstellar, Interseller, which I'm sure is going to gain a ton of business after today, to essentially hover over their LinkedIn profile and also have that software basically be able to guess for me what their work address is at a fairly high accuracy rate, And so then based on one of those methods, was able to arrive at an email. And typically, if I had someone in common with them already, then I would ask that person to connect me to that email and ask them to, hopefully vouch for me. But more often than not, because I was new to the industry, I didn't have a common connection, so I had to cold email. So my cold email, as a next step for the audience today, typically consisted of a subject title that was one that would be clickable, one that was saying, thank you and invite this week. Did you know that the number one subject title that people click on is actually parentheses, no subject? I've actually never tried it before, but I did try thank you and invite this week, and it always worked as well. So then from there, just wrote a quick note saying something that they couldn't decline, asking for a 5-minute phone call, 15-minute tea, and telling them, and this is the key, that I really was someone who admired them so much for their work and initiatives, and I hope to be able to meet in order to give back to that. I wanted to give and give support, collaborate, and that give is extremely important, and that's why I wanted to go through this whole email with the audience today to be able to highlight that give. And that is ultimately why, in the end, if you email all your role models across, again, the various realms that you think will lead to that inkling of an idea of what you have as a passion, if you email all those role models, and then out of those 50 email, 10 are going to respond, maybe, but 2 will absolutely get tea with you, and 1 will end up changing your life. So that is ultimately how, if you follow all these steps, you'll be able to get a life-changing opportunity, and that will enable you to have the first step towards figuring out your passion and having the life and career of your dreams.
And you were reading my mind, because before you started that, I was going to say, well, how did you do it? Because you got to connect with some high-level people, but you've laid it right out there. In fact, and one of your quotes here I have is, if your day job isn't your passion, use those extra hours to discover what it is you truly love to do. And finding our passion is sometimes trial and error, right?
It's trial and error. It's trying a lot of different things. So what I did that I hinted at before, but to lay it out explicitly now, is that I took on a corporate job between 9 to 6, as mentioned. And then at nights, I would take on the side hustles that basically encompassed the collaborations that I got from reaching out to these role models. So at night, for example, while I was at CBS during the day, helping with business development and strategy on TV stations, radio stations, and websites, mobile properties, which enabled me to learn a ton about different assets within media and how to monetize them and then how to grow their audiences. At the same time, it still wasn't the full scope of what I needed to know about a business. So then I took on side hustles at night with the vice mayor of Beijing. He and I and basically a team that I helped build, ultimately created a venture together to bridge the cultural gaps between U.S. and China. And then a third job I took on at night was producing feature films and documentaries with incredible talent in Hollywood. Anyways, those two side hustles obviously led me to learn a ton about international relations and global marketing and simultaneously content production and distribution, respectively. So while, again, I didn't know my exact passion, I had a large focus of learning how to build a business that then I was able to further narrow in on by taking on these collaborations. And so to the audience today, the listeners today, if you have, again, an inkling of an idea, it may start out broad and you will take on a lot of collaborations that over time will be increasingly narrower as you then are able to focus in on and hone in on what it is exactly that you're passionate about. So, you may find at first that you think you're interested about an industry, but over time you might find as a result of taking on all these collaborations that you are actually interested in a specific functionality within that industry. Or maybe it was never that industry in the first place. Maybe it was a specific functionality across any industry. But trial and error taking on a lot of different side hustles is great. I want to add a caveat, though. Of course, I just want to add that one thing that I did do was make sure that I never stretched myself too thin. I did always take on just the number of side hustles that I knew was my perfect level of capacity, so that then I could always over-deliver on every single task within those collaborations, and I could become still the star within that area and be someone that the collaborators I had on that project could always turn to immediately for help and support. I wanted to make sure at the end of the day that the relationships I had within each collaboration were extremely strong, that they could turn to me for anything because then they would be able to recommend me to anyone and everyone, and they would become my friends and longtime collaborators, and that's what happened. So don't take on too many side hustles. Always make sure that you take just enough so that it keeps you to just the brim and you can over-deliver on everything.
And we're talking with Tiffany Pham, the author of You Are a Mogul. Tiffany, what you're describing also, we have to have a work-life balance and we have to stay physically fit to keep the energy to be doing all these things. Give us a quick word on how you stay fit and still achieve all these things in business and even in your personal life.
Great question. Well, at the beginning, I have to be transparent. I have to admit I wasn't the best at working out every single day. And as a result, I think if there was anything that I had to sacrifice on, it was sleep and health. I ultimately, for the first year and 7 months of Mogul, barely slept. I slept 2 to 3 hours a night. And
wow.
That I for sure admit is not healthy. But, after a lot of hard work in those first year and 7 months, ultimately I ended up then being able to build up the team that then was able to support all the incredible work we do worldwide. And from that, I was able to then have a more relaxed schedule whereby every single morning I was able to get up and have a 7 a.m. workout at my local dance studio with actually a woman who's featured in the book who's incredible, Simone Leroux. And she trains everyone from Carly Clough to Sandra Bullock to Reese Witherspoon, etc. So very lucky to have her in my life, but ultimately spend the morning with her at her studio. Subsequently, I integrate friends and family all throughout the day in Mogul, in our community. And that is because all throughout the time that I was working on side ventures and collaborations prior to my time at Mogul, I was essentially, again, developing friendships that became lifetime collaborations and partnerships. And those actually were the people that made up my founding team at Mogul, that they actually became the first team members I had, and therefore I could end up coming to work and not only being surrounded by the most brilliant minds that I've ever worked with, but also my friends. my friends became my colleagues became my friends. And so Mogul's founding team, who actually years later is still here all to this day, then ultimately I was able to have a very integrated and balanced life. Family members also, if they're all living here in New York, all moved here to be supportive of Mogul. So I was very lucky to have family all nearby and have them still here to this day. And actually, my brother is incredible and is actually one of our leaders within the Mogul organization, as well as a co-founder and technology leader within Mogul. And then subsequently, I'm lucky to have such a supportive partner, which I definitely talk about in the book. The chapter 6, of course, highlights the many failed relationships I had leading up to today, until I finally found the most incredible supportive partner I could have ever hoped for. But in the years prior, I definitely had to learn my lessons to let go of relationships where that was not the case, and learn from the failed communications there. And I'm excited that readers will get to learn from those mistakes so that they can make sure that they avoid them too.
And Tiffany, with the last few minutes, what else would you like people to know about anything in your world and the book, You Are a Mogul?
I just hope that with reading the book, that they feel so inspired and motivated to go after anything that they ever hoped for today. I think with the book, I highlight all of my circumstances that I came from. I didn't know how to speak English when I arrived here initially. I came from nothing. I didn't know anyone, but I was always looking to role models, and that included my grandmother, my family. It included peers. It included public figures that, I would read about in their biographies, and that, again, made me realize what was possible out there beyond the town that I lived in. And actually, fun fact, I'm a Texan, so, once I arrived here in the U.S., I ended up living in Plano, Texas. And so anyways, beyond the Plano boundaries, all the reading and the watching of movies and the listening to the news enabled me to realize all the possibilities out there in the world. And so then what happened was that I, all along the way, again, kept on realizing that anything was possible. If I put my passion and hard work to it, dedication, that anything was possible. If I reached out to my role models, continued to collaborate with them, learn from them, then everything that I ever hoped for to help with women around the world, to provide them with opportunities, provide them with educational resources, to be possible. So to any listener out there today, I just hope that they know that no matter what circumstance they're in or whatever the context may be, that, again, they can lift themselves beyond what was ever their boundary before. They can go after it. They can go after their dream. They can, with all their hard work and dedication and passion, make the impossible totally possible.
Like I said at the beginning, you are changing the world and inspiring people all over the world. And we've been talking to Tiffany Pham. She is the author of You Are a Mogul. That's just one of the many things that she does and has done. Tiffany, it's so awesome to talk with you. Thank you so much for being on the show and spending so much time with us today.
Absolutely. It was so much fun speaking, and I'm so excited for listeners and excited to hear from them, and hope that they found all the strategies and tips that we shared today super helpful.
So many great things. Just go to onmogul.com, and if it's hard to remember all the things we talked about, just get the book, You Are a Mogul, Tiffany Pham. Tiffany, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you, Tiffany Pham. You are a mogul.
Thank you so much.